that flickering on the TV or is that just me?
There is a little flicker. I noticed there was a flicker last week too. Love a flicker.
What's the frame rate setting on the camera?
You're asking me difficult questions. Rugby!
Rugby! There was a lot of rugby on at the weekend.
Too much, some would say. Too much. Not for us.
We
love it.
Fine. We like a bit of rugby. I do want to start with a little bit of kind of unexpected rugby. Like we've been leading off with the World Cup because that's the big cheese at the moment. But the Japanese kind of pushed the All Blacks a bit closer than we expected.
It was dicey. It was very, very dicey. But welcome back, firstly.
Yeah, we've been off for a week.
Yes, we often take weeks off because what's the excuse for last week? It was really on me.
I sent you a text. Do you want to do a podcast? And you're like,
nah. I was up north.
Yeah.
Recovering from a hangover.
Okay. I went to the women's rugby that day.
I didn't watch any of the rugby the week before. So if you ask me anything about the games from the week before,
right,
I will give you a sort of wise and knowing nod, but there'll be completely nothingness behind my eyes, which is generally how I get through most business meetings.
True.
Yeah. Ask me a business question, and I'll show you the look.
Well, what are the numbers looking like for Q4?
You know, look, it looks as though we've got consistent growth.
Right. That's what she said.
Speaking of the Japanese game, I watched. I'm a massive super fan. I really am of the 2 cents live, or live feeds. What do you call them? Live streams. Live streams.
Yes.
And I completely sabotaged.
You did. But that was alright. That's something a bit different.
Yes. If I had the time, I'd love to do like a
extraction of every joke.
A mega compilation of all your dick jokes.
Because they weren't even really jokes.
They were just dick comments.
References. Yeah.
I said to Mark at the beginning of his live stream, for every dick joke I would give him $1. And well done, you made it to $15. And they got looser and looser as the night went on. You really struggled up front. Yeah. There were a couple of times...
A couple that flowed naturally, but the majority was just like something penis.
Yeah. Rugby really lends itself to a dick joke. Yeah. Like, anytime someone beats a man... It's right there. Like as soon as someone comes through a gap, it's right there. Man, exactly.
So many, even the stats.
Exactly.
Defenders beaten.
Exactly. You know, these guys are really growing into the game. They're growers, not showers.
Yeah. Indeed. A lot of possession.
I don't know how we can make... See, that's where you struggle. You go too far. You just got to take the low-hanging fruit.
Don't think too deeply about
it. Yeah, exactly. You were saying things like, he's got quick hands, like Tony and his cock. It was a bit strange. I'll give you that.
I don't know.
Hey.
Good times.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a great live stream. You did well.
I do like live streaming the games.
Speaking of which, before we get into the game, can we do it for the France England game? You want to come around here?
France New Zealand game.
Oh yeah, France England. Well, let's not. That's not the final necessarily.
No. Is that Saturday or is that Sunday?
Saturday, 7:30.
Okay. Oh. I'll just need to check with my old man to see which day he's coming around.
Right, okay. Well, don't want to piss off Gaza.
No, we don't want to piss off Gaza.
No, don't piss off Gaza. No.
But we do. We've said that we'll do a live for the World Cup, so we'll definitely get it done.
100%. Yes. All right. Well, let me know. But yes,
the All Blacks.
They
picked a team which was to be expected. They put some guys in who hadn't had a lot of game time. RTS got a start in the 12 jersey. We saw Finlay Christie.
Didn't play so well.
Yeah, he's been like performing off the bench, and it's like you got to give this guy a start to see what he can do. And it was just
didn't line anything up really. But I felt like it was going to be a tough task. Not because we were playing the Japanese, and the Japanese are a lot better than what you give them credit for, and the fact that there have been a lot of the focus on the bad performance of the All Blacks, which it was. Which is kind of what we're used to now, sadly, under Fozzie.
True.
But the Japanese have come on in leaps and bounds.
We can be a little bit guilty as New Zealand fans of sometimes not giving the opposition credit for just making our lives difficult.
Yeah, 100%. And they did that. They have absolutely. They've got some great coaches. Tony Brown, Jamie Joseph. They've obviously got some real smarts. That's the team that basically led the Highlanders to their championship when they got there. And, you know, they've had enough time in the saddle over there. They understand the culture, the players, and all that sort of jazz. But they're still saying all that. It's inescapable that the All Blacks played like mud still. And a big part of it for me comes down to the fact, what on earth were we actually trying to achieve in terms of the goal, the future goal being the World Cup, right? And we know that any great team, the basis of any great team is combinations. And that team had 0 combinations.
Right.
There were no... Like, that team is not going to be in the World Cup final. That team's not going to win a World Cup knockout game. You know, Finlay Christensen's not going to be passing to Mwanga, who's going to be passing to RTS. To, you know, like, that's... Like, there'll be some incredible changes of fate for that to actually happen. So I was like, it didn't seem to serve a purpose. And it was a great game for the Japanese, but it seemed to be... one where they felt guilty about blooding some players, getting them some game time.
Is it just depth building?
But to build depth, you still need to build combinations. And those combinations, we're likely never to see that team ever again playing.
One and done's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I don't really see what the benefit of playing that particular team. And for me, obviously they got there in the end and it got a little bit dicey. The Japanese had a moment. Just if they got... You know, one of those freak moments where they, you know, Perifetta drops a ball at the back or they get another crazy drop. You know, that charge down was immense.
That was one of the best charge downs I think I've ever seen in my life.
I don't think I've seen a better charge.
Did he get hit in the face or was it just his hands?
But like face, arms,
and then he gathers it without dropping it. Like you've seen loads of charge downs where it goes to ground and he you know gathers it back up, but one motion.
Incredible.
And then the wheels to get there, like...
Yeah.
Man.
Living the Locks dream.
Basically.
Yeah, that was incredible. But like another moment like that, they had a couple of tries like that, and they're drawing the game.
That's right.
You know, and...
There was some who said that our first try, the line-out was crooked, and the second try, the pass was forward. So if you take those 2 tries out of the game of a game which finishes 38-31, then it's a totally different story. But I mean, you can, to a degree, make that kind of shoulda, coulda, woulda argument with literally every game, and you 100%. Can boil it down to how many different decisions. This guy was offside. This ruck was, you know, an infringement.
You can do so many different ways. I saw you, obviously, during the live stream, and you were pretty pissed off when that All Black try was actually...
I thought it looked forward, man. Like, I mean, I try to be kind of philosophical about it and go, look, I don't have as good a view as the ref.
Yeah.
And it has to be blatant. And our camera angles can be genuinely deceiving.
100%.
I get that. Like, from what we look at it and go, it's 100% forward. From that camera angle, yes, but maybe not necessarily. But it just, look, the gut feeling told me it looks a bit dodgy.
I didn't think it was forward. I thought it was backwards out of the hand.
Right.
You want me to explain my logic behind it?
Go on then.
It looks super... Like, okay, behind you, open that drawer, there's a tennis ball in there, right? Give me that tennis ball. Okay, for the listeners, I have a tennis ball in my hands.
Right.
So, he's obviously, so it was Mwanga really who passing it to RTS.
Yeah.
So, when he was bursting through the tackle, he was extending out fully. All of his arms were fully out to release the ball.
Right.
So, that's where he's got to release it going backwards.
Right.
RTS is standing there.
Right.
Okay, between him and the ball, like making like a triangle essentially.
Right.
So his body is essentially behind RTS's, which always looks bad.
Right.
But still, when it comes out of the hand, it's coming out of the hand backwards still. You know, and that was what it looked like to me when I saw it. It's one of those ones when a guy's running full tilt and then passes.
And it drifts forward,
You know, he passes at the moment just before he gets tackled.
Right.
You know, that one always
looks dodgy because the motion of the body, and sometimes because you go in a full tilt, the ball naturally just drifts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, you can be running... And with someone behind you, throw the ball up behind them, and the ball's still going to travel forward.
There's literally videos of that explaining how forward passes. The reason why the law is backwards out of the hand is because it goes forward. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of old school people who are like, a forward pass is a forward pass, the ball can't travel forward.
Yeah.
But you'd lose some of the greatest tries in the game without those fast-moving backline plays and stuff. Because the ball's still coming out of the hand backwards. You know,
I do feel like that
was very scientific. We got there, wasn't
there? Has to be some kind of scientific solution to that. I refuse to believe there's not some kind of like GPS thing you can put in the ball. I know it's hard because rugby's changing directions so often that it's like which direction is forwards, but I would have thought that's the kind of thing where there has to be a scientific solution to it at some point to detect whether it's travelled forward or not.
I think that's miles off.
You reckon?
And we look at, let's look at the world's most popular game, football.
Right, the VAR.
It took them fucking donkeys to actually get that.
They didn't want it. They were very anti like slowing the game down basically, because I mean they've seen countless other sports, including rugby, become really stuck in that quagmire of let's have a look at this from 12 different angles 100%. Kind of thing.
And one of the arguments was, and people who complain about it still, you can complain about it for any sport, but one of the best moments in sport, you know, you could say the same for hockey, is that moment, you know, the ball hits the back of the old onion bag and it's just ecstasy.
Yeah.
But like for it to go, hold on, let's check it.
It just takes
sucking all the wind out of.
I kind of felt like that with the Japan game when Japan scored that last try, and then the Himeno kind of did he drop it? But then the fact that they kicked the conversion, they're back on halfway, and they're like, hold on, folks, let's take a 2 minute, 3 minute look at this. I felt like if the Japanese guys were G'd up and the All Blacks guys, you know, they're like, shit, we're going to be the first team to lose to the Japanese here. They've got that extra couple of minutes to settle themselves down, and the Japanese lose that momentum. Like, that's the kind of thing I hate about the TMO.
Yeah, I like... It's professional sport at the end of the day, but it's the first time I've seen that. Like, I wasn't actually aware. I thought once the conversion's taken,
they've changed it recently.
Then, you know, that's lights out, let's move on, basically. So that's the first time I've seen them go back any further. But it did take it out, like the wind out of the sails a little bit in that moment where, you know, I was at home just going, shit, this could be historic.
Exactly.
Like, you know, we could really screw the pooch here. And I guess, what does that do to the players on the field, though? You really think that benefits the All Blacks, or the All Blacks could just sit there in their own anxiety and stew on it? Or
I could argue it both ways. You could argue it both ways, and it may be individuals genuinely react to it different ways. Some guys would have the moment to calm down, and other guys, that moment of thinking about it could be detrimental. But I don't know. Like, I know these guys, at least at the All Blacks level, have mental skills coaches, and they go through their processes to make sure they aren't.
Have you got a blue mind? Right now?
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, be calm.
Oh.
Have a blue mind.
Okay.
Don't have a red mind.
Oh.
Have a blue mind.
As easy as that, is it?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's right. I've heard them talk about that shit before, and actually start to really look forward to those pressure moments.
Right.
You know, that's...
Richie McCaw was big on that.
Yeah.
Like, he was one of the guys after 2007, they were like, we have the skills, but something keeps breaking at World Cups, that it's up here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because there was that 24-year period where we choked over
and over again.
And over again.
But we won the game.
Yes, we did, but bloody hell, that felt like a loss. It did feel like a loss.
My dad described it, I think, as a...
It's like having sex with your...
No, that's not how he described it at all.
It's like, I was about to say, it's like having sex with your wife's mother, basically.
I think he said moral victory for the Japanese.
It's a callback that way.
To earlier podcasts.
Yeah.
Moral victory for the Japanese, basically.
Yeah, I guess so. And Jamie Joseph, whether it be a Freudian slip or an intentional burn, still doesn't sound particularly good on the All Blacks. He said, that was a great start for us, but we're going to have to be better next week when we're playing better opposition. You know, like, did you hear that? Yeah. He's talking about the English.
That's a burn.
Yeah. Well, it kind of just spilled out. That is a burn. That is a burn. Yeah.
Fozzie's going to need some cream for that.
Yeah. We've still got Fozzie. Like, every time this All Black team, you think, okay, look, we won that, that first game. We had a terrible end of the year last year. We won the first game against Ireland relatively convincingly. We absolutely shat the bed. Then we shat the bed against South Africa. We thought it's all over. Yeah. They pull off that incredible victory. Yeah. Then you think, okay, things are back on track.
We're kind of bipolar, eh? It's either all doom and gloom or it's all coming right.
And then then we get lose to Argentina at home, and why have we still got this, dude at the top? And then they somehow pull the rest of the rugby championship out their buttholes, and then they put up a performance like that against Japan. And that sounds very disrespectful to Japan. Japan is a team that in 1995 we beat by 129 points.
Talk about teams that have come a long way.
And I think the most recent victory was 38 points.
Something like that. Yeah, 2018. It was a similar situation because it was prior to a World Cup, a year up from a World Cup. We sent, I don't remember the exact lineup, but I'm pretty sure they played a few guys. It was either their first test or, guys who hadn't, like the same thing, they hadn't had that many minutes. They put them in and they still got the job done pretty comfortably.
Because we have exceptional talent. But it looked to me out there, obviously a lot of very talented players out there, but there were no leaders. And I have big question marks about Mo'unga when the pressure is on. I felt like a lot of his gameplay kicking was aimless.
Pretty average.
And didn't really do anything. Whereas you know that whatever the situation of the game is, even in those games where we lost against Ireland, Barrett was our best player on the field, even though he got a lot of stick.
Gets a lot of stick,
because he was playing behind a forward pack going backwards. But his in-game kicking was amazing.
Yeah, Bodie's class.
Yeah, and he would have just settled us down in those big moments and plugged the corners at the right moment, found space at those right times, or just provided that moment of just absolute pure class. Because he can find time where other players can't. Mo'unga's got all the skill in the world and is an exceptional player, and he's amazing when his team is playing well.
Yeah.
But he's not often in... If we look at him with Crusaders, and you look at him with the All Black teams he's played for, he's not often playing in teams that are struggling. He's not often... Whereas Bodie's grown up with Taranaki, the Hurricanes
and then he goes to the Blues.
And the Blues, and he's been the number one man for the Blues.
That is weird how when the Blues acquired him, they seem to get better. I mean, it's more than just Bodie, but yeah, they generally did seem to lift. I don't know what it is. He's
very calming. Like, when you've got a player like that, like a number 10 is our quarterback, basically.
That's been the Blues' problem for God knows how long.
Yeah, like having a great number 10, having a great halfback, and also having a really solid 9-10 combo. Well, great Blues players have always had great 9-10 combos when it was Stevie Devine and Carlos Spencer, that era, and now when we've got Finlayson and Bodie Barrett, and I think who is the other number 9 that we've got at the moment? You should know. I'm
thinking Jonathan Ruger, but I know it's not him. Yeah. Sam Knock, maybe.
Yeah, and he plays well as well. Yeah. So I don't know. It's I really think Barrett's our number 10. Barrett for 10, everybody.
Barrett for 10.
Distracted said it.
Jimeno was pretty good. I remember just because I went through my notes for the game and I was just like, All Blacks, blah, 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 and then Jimeno wins a turnover. All Blacks, blah, 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 and then Jimeno gets them out of jail. And then who's the guy who scores the try, even though it got TMO'd and some people said it was dodgy, but I mean, Jimeno's the guy. He was great when he was at the Highlanders. Like, the dude is just on another level, yeah. And even Michael Leach, who's getting on, he made a ton of tackles.
Yeah.
So...
Do you think there's an element of, the Japanese circled this on their calendar going, we're playing the All Blacks at home. And they're like, that's the one they're focusing on, that's the one they're building to, that's the one they got in the back of their mind when they're having those early morning trainings or whatever's going on. Whereas we're like rabbling a team together to blood some players.
Before we play the real kind of tour thing. Yeah, that's probably a factor. I mean, it's kind of like reminiscent if you've ever watched English football, how they go and play a cup game. They've got the league, they play their best guys, and then they've got a cup game, they blood some of the guys who haven't maybe had that much game time. They're playing a team which is maybe a division down, but for that team they're playing, it's the biggest game of the year kind of thing. 100%. So that team lifts, that team doesn't perform maybe at the same level. I had that kind of feeling about it. But I mean, again, I don't want to take anything away from Japan because they were flipping good.
They were flipping good. Oh, Neil, you got it. We're laughing about the fact that we have a very, very... what would you describe our technology on the podcast for keeping that on the screen? Manual. I'd describe it as manual.
Yeah, it's a very manual process. Hasn't yet been automated.
No, we should have... We
probably could figure it out.
We haven't.
Sticking your fingers on it.
You've got very long arms.
I've got monkey arms. Yeah, I can reach the floor.
It's pretty good. But other big talking points to come out of the game.
Brodie Retallick gets a red card. Now, by the time this video goes up, we'll probably know his fate. As we record this, we don't know what the judiciary is going to say.
For the rest of the tour.
I've seen some people saying, I mean, there's always like this with any kind of rugby big call, but some people saying, nah, nothing wrong with that. That was fine. Yeah. And then other people saying, he's not going to make the tour at all because he's going to be banned for pretty much the whole time. Yeah,
I've seen on Twitter a bit of like ref shaming as well when they don't give red cards. I'm like, just, we want to protect people's heads. We don't want dementia. But rugby's a dangerous ass sport. It really is. And there's going to be collisions, all that sort of stuff. And I'm not excusing what Brodie Retallick did. That's definitely a red card every day of the week. But, when you're going through the age grade system, when you're told to clear out rucks, you're told to basically, hit anything you can fucking hit.
Get it out the way. Yeah.
Get them out of the way, get the low. And it's really difficult when a guy is like jackaled over the ball. You legally, by the laws, have to enter from the hindmost foot. So you have to enter directly at that player's head.
Yeah.
Like if you come in from the side, if he attacks him from the side safely, he's entering the ruck from the side and he's getting penalised.
Yeah.
And it happens constantly. A lot of players do it without getting red carded.
Yeah.
But it's just such a common occurrence that I think he's gone for the rest of the tournament. But I don't know how they prevent it from happening so much.
It's an interesting one because the argument here is guys can't fly in like that.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be in control of your body when you go in, which is not something that happens all the time. We see it all the time where guys fly in, they don't always hit the head.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we see the croc rolls, right, where the
Yeah.
guys end up. We've seen some horrendous leg injuries, but Sam Warburton, the former Welsh captain and famous jackler, he's got a couple of videos on, I think his Twitter page or something, where he's showing people techniques where you can clear someone out without flying in and without croc rolling them.
Yeah, right.
Where basically you come in and kind of push them backwards and slightly to the side. So, it's all about you've got to be very precise in the way you do it, which I guess is the overall argument. You can't fly in. If you're going to go in, you need to be precise or you need to not do it, which sounds easy on paper. But when you're playing at 100 miles an hour, maybe easier said than done.
Absolutely. And there's so much emphasis on winning the breakdown, winning the collision.
Yeah.
Like if you're going in at 95 versus 100%, you're going to get absolutely mothered.
Yeah.
And I think it's just something we're just going to keep on seeing.
Yeah.
I don't think they've got a magic bullet. Although I would love to find, watching the Scotland game, there's a couple more things I think we should talk about in terms of Sam Cane and Colsey and their exclusions. I think if we're talking about Retallick, we're going to talk about the what's his name? Young?
Clean Young. His clean up was kind of similar.
Very similar.
He just flies in.
I want to know what parts of the body are allowed to hit the
That was
head.
Hilarious. I've never, I watch a lot of rugby.
Do you?
And it's surprising how many times you'll be like, I've literally never seen that before. And a ref going through the process of just saying well, he's hit him, he's pretty high force, but because he's hit it, if it's a shoulder, it's definitely red, but because he's hit him with the bicep, it's just a yellow.
Is it the argument basically, is it just that's very bony and that's more fleshy?
But when the fuck has that ever been a thing?
No, it's never been a thing.
It's never been a thing.
What is crotch to head?
What is thigh? What's ankle? What's knee? What the fuck, man?
I want to know about crotch to head.
Okay, crotch
I want there to be a massive matrix system about crotch to head, crotch to leg, knee to head, foot to head, and a whole...
The refs are going to need a little flow chart to go through every time there's
It'd be like
a
the
TMO call.
Duckworth-Lewis system, basically, on every time there's a rugby incident, basically.
That's just... I mean, there's a kind of logic to it, I suppose. You'd probably rather get hit in the head with a bicep than a shoulder, but...
Or a cock.
It's just... It's just something
I really want to have a day where the TMOs are literally talking about, his crotch is really taken full blow to that man's head, ripped straight out of his trousers. That's what I want there to be a day. Will that day occur? Can we hope
never
for
say
it?
never, man.
Never say
Rugby.
Rugby.
Yep. Things happen. Before we get on to Australia and Scotland, you mentioned Sam Cane's out for the tour.
Boom.
He's injured.
Sorry.
Dane Cole's bloody calf, man. That's just a sign you're getting old.
Yeah.
If you keep doing calf injuries, that calf's been bothering him for a couple of years now.
What is he coming up, 60 or something? Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, he must be up for the pension pretty soon. But he's out, and then Tuipulotu, DMAC, RTS, and Eno all get their bags packed for the All Blacks 15. DMAC didn't even play.
All right. So what was he in the squad for? Come a little bit across, my dude. There you go.
I think he was initially... because the Barrett boys had the funeral to go to, so I think he was initially...
Oh, right. So he was just...
kind of cover.
He was just random injury cover. So Perifeta, DMAC, Enor, and RTS.
Perifeta's still there. It's Tuipulotu, DMAC, RTS, Enor.
All right. Okay.
So 3 backs, 1 forward.
So they'll get a bit of game time now, but they won't be touring with the main squad.
That's the crux of it.
So basically, you're told, we got no plans for you to be a reserve in any of these games.
Pretty much. Go get some game time with the AB's 15.
The All Blacks 15, which we've
I know you love that name.
I hate that. The All Blacks B, no, All Blacks, the New Zealand B team.
Basically.
Can we just stop calling it, the All Blacks is meant to be a sacred, okay, well, I've been down this road.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big loss in terms of leadership, losing Retallick, Coles, and Sam
Retallick
Cane.
still might get off by some miracle. With the judiciary, it's seriously a roll the dice.
So this is when you got to think about the dick joke. He might get off. Lends itself straight to it. That's the only thing I do. I write my pieces and I go, okay, don't make so many dick jokes. Don't. Right. And they come out of me.
They just keep coming.
They just keep coming. Damn it! Yeah, but that's a huge loss of a lot of experience. I really don't think Retallick's got much of a shit show on how to get out of it.
That was my impression as well. I saw that and I was like, that's going to be red. Sure enough, it was red. I can't see him getting off at the judiciary, but with the way things go at the judiciary, it would not shock me to see him get off, just because it seems like a bit of a lottery at times, getting off.
I'm so mature. I've ruined this podcast with too many dick jokes. I'm sorry.
It's alright.
Okay, yeah, it's a shit show. And look, Wales.
Wales is up next.
And boy, oh boy, they will be licking their lips. Is this
their best chance to get one over the All Blacks in ages?
I think it's by far it's Scotland's best chance the next week as well. This is a fragile All Blacks team. It's a volatile All Blacks team.
Will it be the same once we get all the combinations back, once the Barretts are back? And
maybe, but then also, how many weeks have they been off? How many, you get better when you're playing week on week on week. Yeah. And they've had 5 weeks off.
A bit of rust, maybe.
Yeah, so a little bit of rust could catch them on the hop. Could get an absolute steamer of a start. And the Mutual Appreciation Society number of 69 years. That's how long it's been since they won the one against them in 1953. It's
been a wee while. My dad was a young fella.
Well, my dad was born that year.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was. 1953. And fun fact for you, at that stage, the ledger between the two teams was Wales 3 wins, All Blacks 1. So they had the wood on us in 1953, and we've had, since then, a winning streak of 32 games.
It's not bad.
32 games. You know why I know all this shit?
Because you get to do a video about it. We're looking forward to it. When is this video coming out? When's the Wales video coming out? Because the game is this weekend, so the clock is ticking.
My problem is, guys, I make videos sometimes, but it takes me ages to edit them. For everything you see on the screen, it's about a minute, but a minute's worth of editing. It's about
That's my video.
Every minute you see is about an hour's worth of editing. So if you see a 12-minute video, it's 12 hours. And I have a full-time job and all that sort of stuff. But I've written something, so I'm considering just sitting there with a piece of paper and reading it.
Do it.
Yeah?
Do it. Get a whiteboard. It's a great investment.
Can I go to your house?
And record the video.
And record the video in front of the whiteboard?
It'd be classic.
Yeah. It would confuse a lot of people.
It would be.
Mark Dunphy would his head would explode.
Yeah, explode, yeah. We talked about the Aussies and the Scots a wee bit with that one incident, but that was a one-pointer.
It was a one-pointer. Okay, they did win the game at the end of the day, but I want to say something I've never said before.
Okay.
I feel sympathy for Australia.
Ooh.
And hot take.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Did not see that coming.
They have been on the, I know they look on paper like they have awful bloody discipline. They really do, and they really don't help themselves at all.
I think James Slipper said in a pre-match press conference, if there's one thing I want to have a game where the Wallabies have good discipline. That's kind of a sad bar to be setting. I want a game where we dominate the breakdown, or we do this, that, the other. No, just discipline.
They looked like one of the world's best teams for about 90 seconds in that game. The opening 90 seconds of the game was sort of like that period with the All Blacks game. The All Blacks looked amazing when they were up 21-3 for about 2 minutes, and I thought
the All Blacks are going to do this by 50.
Yeah, I was like, this would be a 50-point game, and then it was a big comeback. Okay, anyway, back to the Irish and the Scottish and the Aussies. The Aussies started it with an absolute flyer, but the amount of times the referee missed little knock-ons from Scotland, little bits that led to penalties. that very first was the first try for Scotland.
The Smith one.
Yeah, it came off. It came from a knock on off Australia, which was clear, and then went to a scrum. And for me, Alan Alatoa absolutely destroyed his opposite. I don't know his name. Come on, 2 cents, you can do it. You can do it.
Was it Sutherland? Maybe.
He absolutely destroyed him in the scrum. Like, and they popped. It looked every day, and he was like, "No, you're boring in." I was like, "You're boring in, sack." So,
Luke Pierce.
Yeah. Then I was like irritated. I'm not an Australian fan whatsoever. I actually prefer to see Scotland win. I was
but
like,
they had you on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's bullshit call. And then they scored a try right off it. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And then there were all these little infringements throughout the game that were going against Australia for. They were getting pinged on every little infringement they're making and all that sort of stuff, whereas the Scots were getting away with the odd knock on here. And for me, I could almost see it. I was like trying to study their behaviour. They were getting frustrated. They were just like, why are we getting pinged? And then the more they got frustrated, the more then their discipline just goes to shit. And then they're the worst enemies.
That conversation being had with the ref, and the ref just he was having enough of the Aussie mouth. He marched in 10, and
Yeah, and I'm a bloody New Zealander.
Yeah.
I've got no reason to be saying this. I would rather Scotland win. I really would. I really would. Oh, there we go. Every time I look at that, I
There's
think...
no light. Then it flashes. Oh, thank God. Thank God.
The otherwise we're just two dudes.
Just having a chat in front of a TV. Good
but, so I had no reason to... And then at the end of the game, I was like, okay, well... This kind of works that Scotland wins this game. It's a Murrayfield. And then Longhorn, the tall... Sorry, he's so tall. He scored a cracker of a try. Showed some in serious dough.
He's actually a kind of outside back come fly half. That's why he has the silky skills.
Sorry, pardon me.
That's kind of how they've forced him into the 10 jersey. Like Gregor Townsend is.
Other than his goal kicking, he looked like
he's kind of like D-Mac in that they're like, right, you're a good 15, but we want you to play 10, play 10. So that's kind of the role he's got.
But
yes, he's goal kicking.
Got a Detroit IPA here.
Nice.
Next up, by our friends at Urbanaut. We're open to sponsorship. Urbanaut.
I just give a thumbs up for our listeners on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all your podcasting platforms.
What were we talking about? Sorry, before I started talking about
Scottish, getting away with some shit.
Yeah, some janky stuff that was going out there.
But getting frustrated.
And then
Kinghorn misses that penalty. It could have won.
That'll haunt him, that one. It was kickable.
He missed two. He missed the conversion for the first try.
Yeah.
And he missed the penalty. So he leaves 5 points out there when it's a 1 point game.
And the Iceman lives up to his name.
Yeah, he kicks them all.
And they win the game.
He does, yeah. So.
And a game that you kind of felt like they lost.
That was a weird game.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure.
As neutral, it was entertaining. I got emotionally invested in the heartbreak of Australia's win. I don't even know how to explain that.
There was some good vibes. I mean, Michael Hooper was back. That was a good news story. He was smiling all the time.
Yeah, happy to be out there. It was beautiful to see.
Yeah.
The number 6. Who's the Australian number 6? Sorry. I do put you on the spot, don't I? You are 2 cents, for God's sake.
Who was it in that game? Was it Holloway? It was Holloway.
Holloway did an incredible pass that basically reminded me of Michael Liner's no-look pass to David Campese in the 1991 semi-final.
For the try?
It wasn't a try, but he was just looped around them, and he can't... It was just like, wow. I love those little moments. I was like...
See a big man with good hands?
Yeah. A big man with good hands, that's right.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but there was a lot of nice little moments, and I thought the Scots played pretty well.
Remembering that they are without any of the guys who play in England or play in France, kind of thing. Like
they've got their Irk players, though, don't they?
Yes, no Adam Hastings though. No Finn Russell didn't even get selected for the squad. So,
you got thoughts about that?
I mean, Finn Russell. He
seems like a quality player.
He's like, I don't know if you can compare him to Carlos Spencer, but he's that kind of guy who's just like, can do the most magic stuff, can also kind of shit the bed. But I mean...
You want him in your team then. You want him in your... maybe not for that game, but you want him when you're 12 points down, there's 20 minutes to go.
If you need someone who... Like, if your team's been struggling, you're not getting any go forward, if you want the guy to come up with a solution, he's your guy.
Why is he out of favour?
I think he's got a bit of a background with the coach.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's definitely one game in the past where I think he kind of went off script and they were losing and then they came back. I think it's the game I'm thinking of, to draw with England. So he kind of like gave the old middle finger to the coach, like, I'm not doing what you say, I'm doing what I think we should do, and it worked.
He played, there was another... Did an audible. That was what they'd say in
American
football. When they get a play, but then they go, I'm changing it!
Yeah, that's right. And I think there was another time when, during COVID times, him and a couple of other guys went out for a drink. It broke team like curfews or something. So he's kind of, they always describe him as a maverick.
Bad boy.
He's a bad boy. So not a coach's dream.
Big dick energy.
Big dick energy. The biggest dick.
So basically two egos can't be in the same room at the same time?
I think so.
And
that seems to be it. Like, I mean, he does have his distractions. Like, some people couldn't stand Carlos. Because, you didn't know what you were going to get.
I know what those people were called.
Dickheads.
South Islanders.
Oh, there you go. Cantabrians.
Which goes
I love you, Canterbury.
Yeah. Otherwise known as dickheads. According to 2 cents, that is.
This one's going up on your channel.
Yeah, but for the most part, a very enjoyable game of rugby. Who have the Australians got next?
France, I believe. Tough. Tough.
That'll be a massive scalp if they can get that.
That's the thing. Like, I could legit see Australia upsetting France in France, or I could see Australia getting beaten by 30 points. Like, it could go.
Yeah.
Like, they're becoming just one of those. They're becoming the French, basically.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
They're becoming the French of
the Southern Hemisphere, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think they're gonna cause some teams some real problems at the World Cup in 2023?
They could do.
Yeah.
I do back Rennie as a coach. I know his record's not that great, but
it's average.
Yeah, it's bang average.
Yeah. It's poor. It's worse than average. Yeah, he's not having a great shot over there. But I feel like he's a good coach who's not coaching well, if you know what I mean. Like, I feel like he gets more and more panicked about his role, and
some of his selection decisions do seem kind of panicked.
Where was Big Will?
Oh, because it was outside the test window. He was still in France. Yeah.
Well, I would have seen him strap on a pair.
He's a big human being.
Is he?
Rather.
He's giant.
Yeah.
He's one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen, I think. Yeah. But yeah, I think and if he can play with, some real determination and ferociousness that he's been showing in Europe, he should be able to show some...
Add some value.
To be honest, I just watched some highlights of him in Europe, and I was like, holy...
Well, he's a big unit, right?
Yeah,
and he's throwing his body around. Yeah. But no, it was good to have men's test match rugby back after a wee absence from the rugby championship. And we hadn't seen the European teams in action for quite some time.
Absolutely.
Or the Japanese.
We got a little bit of a fill of men's rugby, but we're getting to the business end of the women's game.
Yes. Quarterfinals were played this weekend just gone. We're now down to the final four. And
we got there.
It's pretty much the final four that everyone expected.
Can I tell you, I've loved the tournament so far. So many great games, so much emotion. Yeah, watching World Cup is a special thing. It just is. It really is. And this is the time, if you're ever going to watch the game, you want to watch it. But it was average this weekend. Like,
very predictable.
It's super predictable.
Yeah.
Nothing went tight. Like, it's a quarterfinal series. We want some...
I did look back at 2019 from the men's. And like the All Blacks thrashed Ireland. England pretty much thrashed the Aussies.
Yeah, right.
South Africa comfortably beat the Japanese. It was like, I think, 20-something 3.
Yeah, right. That was just a massive achievement for them to get there. And
then then the one close game was Wales and France, which I think was a 1-pointer. But yeah, I don't know. This weekend just felt more predictable.
Yeah, exactly.
And none of the games at any time you felt like maybe the Italians and the French first half was tight. The Canadians and the Americans the first half was tight. But still, you could see this team's on top, and it's a matter of time before
they were going to break them down.
Basically.
Yeah, and that was...
I think all 4 games were like 60+% possession for like one team, you know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah. It wasn't the greatest round. But not the greatest quarterfinal, and I hear what you're saying in terms of the men's World Cup back then. But there was a lot of actual heat going into that All Black Ireland game.
Yeah, because the previous time,
the Irish had got up, and the Irish will cock a hoop.
That's maybe what was a little bit different about the build up to those games.
Hey, Ireland, you're probably going to meet us again in another quarterfinal.
Quite possible,
probably, and it'd be great for you guys if you won, but I wouldn't be at all surprised. Because I feel for them. They've never, ever got out of
a quarter-final. It's tough.
It is tough.
We kind of know that feeling for how many times the All Blacks went into a World Cup as favourites and just didn't even make the final.
I don't know. We know a different kind of feeling.
But we've got that kind of World Cup pain.
Because I've got this video, one of my first ever videos is called Choke, Growing Up All Black and Blue.
Right.
And it's just about growing up from my time being 4, watching the All Blacks win in 87, through to them finally winning in 2011. And I just detail where I was, what I was doing, and what was happening with the team, and the absolute gut-wrenching, ass-prolapsing pain that I was feeling in each of those particular episodes of my life and growing up through that period.
Yeah.
And I got so many people, Irish people, going, "You don't know what you're fucking talking about."
This is real pain.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
ours is kind of mitigated by the fact that we've since won 2 World Cups. That absolutely takes away from that pain.
They took away a lot of the sting, but I still remember that pain.
Genuinely going into those World Cups, every World Cup you were like, surely we can't fuck it up again. This is going to be the time. And then
even 99, I was like, after the 95 heartbreak, I was like, oh, after the last time, we've got to be up for this.
This time,
And then it was 2003, 2007.
Yeah.
And then that fever pitch, intense pressure, the World Cup in our home country in 2011, like people couldn't even talk about it. They were just getting so tense. There were all those memes going around going, "Stay calm, Perry's on," and Perry would just say, like, he was just on the field going, "Calm the fuck down. Yeah. I got this."
Basically.
Yeah, it's a hard time to explain to other people what being in New Zealand was like during that period. I watched in Wynyard Quarter that final.
Oh, really?
It was very, very intense. And even when we won, we celebrated very intensely for about 45 seconds, and then everyone just breathed.
Right.
Like, it just all, like, the ecstasy just got sucked out, and it was just relief. It was just like... It was just like letting a massive fart go.
You've been clenching for that long, you finally can...
Yeah.
I was in a bar in Wuhan, China.
Fantastic.
Watching a game with an Australian league fan.
Really? Mm-hmm. And was he saying things like, Billy Slater, carve these bastards up?
Yeah, I just remember smoking a lot of cigarettes through that game because...
you smoked cigarettes?
I did at the time, yeah. It was tense. At one point when...
I think I was smoking darts that night too, actually.
Tranduk lining up a shot that he missed, I couldn't even watch it. I had to go take a slash.
We were outside, I was 28, I think, at the time. And... my mate, who's a massive rugby fan, but he's not particularly great with the ladies. And he's alright. He has he used to have the scattergun approach.
Okay,
basically just hit on everybody you can.
You'll get some success.
Something will happen. He wouldn't do it in a way. He'd definitely take a note, ladies. He wasn't a sexual predator or anything like that. He'd take a no like anyone's business and just go
move on.
Appreciate your forward honesty. Yeah. But he shacked up with some German girl. She had more teeth than I've ever seen on a human being. She just had a mouth that was just like...
all teeth.
And you're like, whoa! And he just spent the whole of the 2011... He's a huge rugby fan. He spent the whole of the 2011 final just making out with this German girl.
Wow.
He's still such an intense rugby fan. When you bring it up, he's like, nah, I was watching, but...
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. He was not watching that at all. So Simon Jonas, we still remember.
Never forget.
Look how disappointed Mark 2 Cents looks. For those listening, Mark 2 Cents...
shaking his head.
Yeah.
Disgust. How did we get onto that? We were talking about the women's quarterfinals. And we're talking about...
my mate hooking up with the German.
Yeah. So, to bring it back to the quarterfinals, they all went pretty much according to plan. The French beat the Italians. We beat the Welsh.
Yes.
The English beat the Australians. And the Canadians beat the US. The top score... from a losing side was 11 points.
Yeah.
The lowest score from a winning side was 32. This is what we're talking about by none of these games
These sounds like stats.
Yeah, these games were not close.
Yeah, they really weren't. Can I outline best case scenario for the rest of the tournament and worst case scenario?
Okie dokie.
What would you like to start with? Worst case or best case?
Let's go with the worst case.
Worst case scenario, the English absolutely pump Canada, and it makes a mockery of there being a top 4.
Right.
Like, they beat them by 40 points.
Okay.
Canada never, that could very, very likely happen. Okay, and they get through the final. I think you could.
Smart money is on England.
The
thing I do like about Canada is England score a lot of tries from their maul, and Canada score a lot of tries from their maul. So if there's one team that's maybe set up to negate the English maul other than the French, it's the Canadians. I don't think any other team has as good a chance as the Canadians. The Canadians fought back.
Is Canada fully professional? Why are they so good in the women's game?
A lot of their players play in the Premier 15s in England, but the Canadian national team, I think, is amateur. So it's kind of...
They're showing up the men, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. The men are hopeless, sadly.
Kieran Crowley, isn't he the coach over there?
He used to be.
I used to really enjoy watching him play.
Who was Jonah Lumbu's manager? Kingsley Jones, right? It's his son who's the Canadian
So
coach.
a Welshman is coaching.
He's hopeless.
Yeah, right, okay.
He's hopeless. Yeah, he's like a... Yeah, I don't want to say cheap, but he's...
cheap, did you say?
I just mean like they wanted to go for a coach who wasn't going to break the bank. I think a budget. He's the no brand.
Okay, right.
Sad to say. I think. Call me out if I'm wrong.
I went for like a no frills Warren Gatland.
Basically. Sad.
Well, what did you play? Gatland ball. Is it Warren ball or Gatland ball? They used to say.
Warren ball.
I don't like Warren ball. Boring. Anywho,
so worst case scenario, the English pump the Canadians,
which could very likely happen. We lose relatively convincingly to
the French.
The French. By the way, this is from a Kiwi perspective.
Of course,
this scenario that I'm painting, and then the final is a poorly attended
France
game like we saw before, where like people walk away talking about how great one of the side's defense was, and England win, and then it's like, oh. Cool.
Right.
That was great. It was fantastic, everybody. Swing your poise round. Okay? Best case scenario.
Okay.
The Canadians have an absolute blinder. Play the game of their lives, push it to a bit of a thriller, but eventually get outclassed by the English. The English walk away with a 5-point victory.
Right.
Okay? But having a pretty good run under their belt. We have an epic encounter. It's defense versus amazing attack during the French. The French have some great plays. You know, it's up to the last 10 minutes. We pull away in the last 10 minutes relatively comfortably to be definitely secured as, you know, finalists. Yeah. And then the final at an absolute sold out Eden Park.
Yep.
You know, poise going, swing your motherfucking poise. You know, like really get in. Poyer's blasting.
Yeah.
You know, incredible haka. 50,000 people there at Eden Park for the final. And then these two teams with the absolute total antithesis of approach in terms of total out attack and flair and, you know, pace on the ball and trying to do everything they can to play at speed versus England's total incredible machine-like professionalism and their incredible dominant maul. They score many tries from mauls. They, you know, their pick and goes are amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a clear night, and we put on a fucking freak show on the backs. Right. We score some absolute epic tries, and it's a to and fro battle. Nice. You know, are you getting pumped?
Yeah,
you know, and it's punch, counter punch. The moment you think it's safe, they come back. Goes to extra time.
Oh, man.
Goes to extra time. We're out of it. Rubitui scores in the corner. What's the name of the number 10? Dumont. Has a kick to win it for us. Misses it. Goes to extra time. Okay. Goes to extra time. It's the extra time period is basically exactly the same as the game. 2 tries apiece.
Oh, man.
Who would have thought it was going to happen? And Woodman does some absolute freak show crap to win the game in the last moment of what it will be 120 minutes at that stage or something. Sure. They raise the World Cup. The Women's World Rugby goes absolute bananas. It's all over Twitter. It's, even people who don't even follow rugby are like, did you see this incredible game?
Yeah. People do reaction videos to it.
Stadium is just going absolutely batshit amazing, and, the English are heartbroken.
Right.
Because they've been incredibly dominant.
Yeah.
What a different picture. The worst case scenario versus the best case scenario.
Could go two very different ways. Or some alternatives in the middle.
It's so much more likely to go that worst case. That was a pretty epic game I played out for you. Did you feel like
that'd be like the rugby is the rugby, because it's just like rugby. You can play the game in more than one way.
Yeah.
Rugby, you don't have to just spin it to your back all the time. You can maul the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Rugby, you can just not have the best world forwards, and you can just fucking get your wingers to just score stupid tries with offloads. Like that's rugby. That'd be a rugby. That'd be a rugby final.
100%.
Very rugby.
Very rugby. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you're pumped by that.
North versus South. Yeah, no, that'd be alright.
Exactly. I had a loose idea of what I wanted that game to be, but it became even more.
Now anything below that's going to be disappointing, isn't it? You hit the bar.
We won, but it wasn't.
We didn't win it in extra time. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do think it's still going to be fascinating to watch, like I said, because the two big forward packs, England, Canada, and then France, who just seem to have a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Like, they can score from nowhere, they can maul it, they've got incredible defence. Like, they seem like just very well-rounded.
100%.
So, no, it's going to be a fun game. For a stat for you, if I'm not mistaken, the English mauled it 11 times against the Australians, and the Black Ferns didn't maul it once.
Yeah. And the Black Ferns looking good. The Black Ferns are nervous starters though. They have not played well in the first 15 minutes of any of their games. Like the Welsh were in it.
Yeah, that's right.
For a while.
That's right. Scrum looked a bit better from the Black Ferns, which was pleasing.
Different front row from
the
other game. The girl from the Deep South scored a try in the game, the number 3. I'm sorry, I forgot. I think her name is Amy.
Okay. I-E-E or A-M-Y?
A-M-Y.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my preferred way of spelling Amy. No offense to anybody who's A-I-M-E-E. They're both acceptable, but...
Send your hate to Mark 2 Cents.
I just like fewer letters.
Yeah, right. How do you think I should spell my name then?
Do you not just spell it T-O-N-Y?
There's really no way to spell that any shorter.
I mean, you can spell it with an I, but it's the same length, but it's more of a female version.
Would it really offend you if I spelt my name T-A-O-I-N-E-E-E and said it was Irish?
Yeah, if it had some heritage to it and it wasn't just you being a fuckwit, then that'd be alright.
I worked with an Irish girl called Maeve.
Okay.
How do you think you spelled her name?
Oh, Jesus. Maeve.
Does
it start with an M?
Yeah, it does. You get that right there. And I might spell this wrong for any Irish people listening, but I'll do my best attempt.
So like M-I-A-H or something?
No. So...
I just don't look as Neve. Instead of N-E-V-E, it's like N-I-A-M-H.
No, get this. So it was Maeve. M-E-A... M-E-A-D... HB or something like that.
Irish spellings are pretty next level.
Siobhan
is Siobhan.
Yeah, Siobhan.
Yeah.
Well, my name is O'Sullivan, which was O'Sullivan, which is spelled with a B with a H-A-I-N originally.
Right.
O'Sullivan, by the way, translates to one-eyed, which gives people, it's pretty accurate on a lot of my sort of rundowns of games.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, I really want to see my epic game that I just described in.
That would be classic. We've still got the 2 semi-finals to go
first. Yes, and I hope we have a couple of great games for those as well. I hope the Canadians put on a great account of themselves. But one thing that I am enjoying about this World Cup, and I did enjoy from the weekend, I did kind of bag not the quality, but just the lopsidedness of the encounters that we got. The other thing that irritated me was that we saw a bunch of games we'd already seen.
Yeah, 2 of the games were replays.
Yeah, it's like,
New Zealand, Wales again, and little USA, Canada literally from the week before.
No offense to Wales, but why the hell were they in the quarterfinals? They won one game. That was, I don't quite understand how.
Yeah, the women's game doesn't quite have the parity yet that the men's game has. And the men's game has been kind of building its depth. I mean, you used Japan as an example before, like how Japan years ago was a team that got 100 plus points put on them, and now, they almost beat the All Blacks. So
they're giant killers.
The fact that teams like Wales and Italy and Scotland and whatnot are finally getting professional contracts in means we should see that gap closed between the likes of England and New Zealand. Even New Zealand's been kind of late to the party.
Yeah,
they had to lose a couple of games over in Europe to really kickstart.
Well, we're going to see the test now. We're going to see us play those teams that we lost to see where we're really at.
That's right. Yeah.
But anyway, I said I wanted to say something good about them, but said something bad about the women's game. But what I kind of love about it is the femininity of it in terms of one thing that the women will always say about men is we're not very good at expressing our emotions.
Right.
And we don't let it all out there and all that sort of stuff. And I'm really loving that femininity on a rugby field. Like, at the end of a game, like, blokes will sort of, handshake to the bro hug, look a little bit gutted when they lose or something. Yeah. But you see, when the women's game, they're holding each other, they're whispering in each other's ears that I'm proud of you. Yeah. Like, tears are streaming, I'm not saying it at all, it's soft in any way. I'm saying it's beautiful. Right. And I'd say it would be great to see. You do see elements of that from the men's game, but it's so much more just prevalent and unashamed, because it shouldn't be shameful in any way. And it's a lovely and it's a beautiful thing to see. And the after-match interviews, often they're choking up because it means so much. There's... when you put so much effort into something, it's okay with it being emotional. Yeah, for sure. It's kind of a beautiful thing. Yeah. And the funny thing, and I kind of love it, and we've talked about this before, but when it's on the field, any time I've ever hung out with a group of women, if somebody says, you know what, I went for a walk this morning, everyone's like, good for you! It's so great! Oh, I should walk with you. That would be so nice.
I don't know what I would say if you said that to me, but it would not be complimentary.
But they're far more supportive of each other. And then when something good happens on the field, they're like, yes, freaking unplayable ball, it's a turnover. They're so pumped about it. And they're just free. Whereas men, we get up and there's a bit of machoism, but there is a machoism to the women's game in those moments, but there's just freely expressed emotion, which women have always been better with in men. I'm probably going to get a bunch of crap about this
feedback about that,
about this whatever rant I've been on about how sexist it was, but I do believe there is
to be cancelled.
There is feminine traits and masculine traits, and I think it's beautiful to see more feminine traits on a rugby field.
I will say one thing, because I went to the games, not this week just gone, but the week before. Yeah. I saw the likes of Japan taking on Italy and the US and Canada and whatnot, but after the Japan-Italy game, the Italian players, a handful of them, just came over to, because I was sitting on the grass embankment. Yeah. There were Italian fans there, Kiwi fans wanted. They were just hanging out for 20 minutes. Taking selfies and just shooting the breeze. And the the health and safety guy was like, you guys need to move the fuck away. You need to go over there. And they would not move. They were not moving.
This is their moment.
He's sitting there with his arms crossed. I mean, he was kind of enjoying it, but also come on, I'm going to get in shit here. So, but no, it was great. Again, you could not see that happening. I mean, you do see the men's teams go around and they'll take selfies with people, but to literally come onto the fan side of the fence and just hang out for 20 minutes.
Have a good time.
Really? Yeah, no, it was fantastic to see. I was loving it. So, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, it is lovely to see, and I think part of that them just enjoying the moment, because they definitely don't get as many moments as the men's game do.
For sure.
Whereas the men probably see it as more of a chore.
Yeah, they're used to it.
This is such a wonderful moment.
I guess it's kind of like in the men's game when you see teams that don't really hope to get past the pool stages. I remember the Russians at the last World Cup, the Namibians, these guys, you'll sometimes see them give really emotional, more than normal emotional interviews, because these guys maybe aren't even professional players. They've got the whole world looking at them for that short time. It means more to them. This is it.
This is what they've worked the whole time to. Yeah. They've grown up in an environment where rugby wasn't a big game, but
you had to fight for it, kind of thing.
They bloody loved it. Yeah, and that's very similar to the women. They've had to fight to be, professional players, and still so many of them aren't.
Beers were $11, which cost more than my match day ticket. My match day ticket for 3 games was $10.30, 30 cents processing fee.
Maybe they're making the money off the booze, because
beer was $11. Not many people were drinking. That was the most well-behaved crowd I've ever seen.
The women's game. There was a streaker.
Oh, really?
There was a streaker in the Wales New Zealand game, and I saw someone on Twitter saying, I think it's so inappropriate for there to be a streaker on a woman's game with kids and women watching or something. And it was a woman saying this, and she was saying, "It just gets my feminist fire going." And I got to be honest with you, I wrote a tweet.
Oh no!
I tweeted it, and I deleted it after 5 minutes. I'm one of those guys. I write a tweet, and then I think, you know what, I don't want to get it. And all I said in my tweet was basically, I love a streaker.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of a laugh. It's always offended some people.
Yeah.
But I don't know why the gender of the competitors should impact how appropriate the streaker should be. Males and women. Women and men have been streaking at events since freaking Joseph played first five for Bethlehem. You know, wasn't Mary doing the streaking,
right?
But you know, I fucking love it. It's a laugh. Yeah. It's funny, and they're naked, right?
But there's a lot of streakers these days that go on the half-assed and they just kind of run on. They're more pitch invaders than streakers.
But even I've seen a few, but totally nud. But it's freaking, you're seeing it from like 15 meters away.
Yeah.
And it's a body that's there. There's nothing arousing or like, I'm not offended. I'm not like, oh my God.
It's hilarious. I love a streaker as well.
I love a streaker.
Chiefs against Blues, man. Chiefs against Blues a few years ago. The greatest. I think he was going for a Super Rugby tryout.
Yeah.
Because he goes onto the field in the nud and he avoided the security for so long. Yeah. But you know, there's always that one or two security guys, you can tell them from, they're actually wearing rugby boots. A lot of the security guys are wearing shoes.
Yeah.
There's always at least two who are wearing rugby boots. Like these are the guys. These are the guys who are they're gonna get on the field and they're gonna fuck you up.
And they love it.
They love it. They're waiting for it.
What a huge moment for them. They're like, I get to make a massive king hit on Eden Park.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's awesome. Against some guy who doesn't know what's coming.
That's right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And that's beautiful too. And they can't, you don't feel sorry for them because
they're asking for it.
They've done something dumb.
This is part of the deal. This is the deal.
Absolutely.
I signed up for this.
Yeah, this is gladiatorial.
Yeah.
We should make the streaker games and just have it like a team of streakers versus a team of security guards. And like it's just
that'd be great halftime entertainment.
Exactly.
It's a bunch of naked people with no boots on a muddy field against a bunch of like 120 kilo security guards.
Yeah. Who they've got just 30 seconds of running in them, but they can freaking crush you into next week if they actually hit you.
Yeah. That'd be the last one standing. That'd be great.
Yeah. Comment if you want you want to see that as a sport. Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
But I deleted that tweet because all the tweets below it were just like, it's disgusting. These guys are sex offenders. Fucking nobody wants to see your dick and all this sort of stuff. And I was like,
you don't have to look. You can look away.
Cover the kids' eyes. But I made one comment just sticking up for the streaker just saying I thought it was funny, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to get absolutely assassinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took it down. So I don't even know. I think she was a female rugby personality who made the tweet.
In an age of everyone having a camera in their pocket with a phone, streaking, you got to be pretty bold or pretty intoxicated to be doing that.
Yeah, and if you got it in you, go for it.
Just expect to get smashed.
And I think it's equality.
Expect to get banned.
Males games. I figure it's a big sign for the women's game.
It's a sign that you've made it. Yeah, it's like having bots on the YouTube comments channel kind of thing. Yeah, to
you've got enough people in there for someone to be a pest. Yeah,
basically.
100%. All right, and next week, we've talked about those games. I think England.
England-New Zealand final, I think, would be the most likely.
I think that's what we're pulling for.
But then it would not surprise me for your worst-case scenario of the French-English final, and maybe, in terms of attendance being a bit of a dud, it wouldn't be surprising to see the Black Ferns go up. But like you said, we don't know where they're at.
And then we win the bronze. I think we'll probably take out Canada, won't we? And then they'll get 12,000 people at the final.
I should say people at the game I went to tended to come for the game that they wanted to see and then bugger off because it's only $10 a ticket. So
we've talked about this. These sellouts don't look like sellouts.
Yeah, a lot of fans would come and then leave, and the other ones would trickle in. So it looks worse on the camera.
Yeah.
Some people saying, why aren't people getting out there? Well,
I haven't got to a single game. Well, last week was the only opportunity. Well, the 2 weekends I wanted to go to, I was told they were sold out. Last week I pretty could have gone when the games you were going to, but I was up north. And then this weekend, I don't have any.
Yeah, I pissed down this weekend.
Yeah, it was biblical.
Yeah, it was really bad.
It just
my lawn was
Cleared up though. It went for
the
about
second game was better.
It went for about an hour of that.
Or a bit more.
Yeah, and it was absolutely just
hosing.
Bad as, and then we had a couple of. It was a beautiful day the day before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very surprising.
Should have played it the day before, guys. All right. We'll get a question for you. I saw your power rankings video on Irk.
Oh right? Yeah, on the old URC.
And I wanted to know, what is the difference between your power rankings and just the general ladder? Because are they similar? Or?
They should be similar, but with the power rankings, I kind of give teams more credit for beating stronger teams.
Right.
So you kind of get more points. You get less points for beating a weak team. I give you more points if you win away.
So if you
give you less points if you win at home, and I give you more points if you win by a big margin. Kind of like a bonus point.
Zebre get up and beat Leinster.
They're going to get a big chunk, and Leinster's going to get punished.
So they'll go down 4, and they'll go up 4.
Something like that. But I also reduced the weighting of the older games. So for the games from round 1 are worth much less than the games from round 7.
Do you have a matrix system that works it out, or is it just sort of gut figure?
I have a formula which I follow. It's not actually my thoughts. It's legit. I put the numbers in, and that spits the numbers out.
Oh, really? I'm glad you don't have thoughts. That makes me feel...
I don't have any thoughts.
No thoughts from 2 cents there.
To be honest, though, I should say the formula is not the finished product. I've been doing it for several years now, and every year, by about the final quarter of the season, I'm looking at it, that's not fucking right. So
really?
I will do some manual adjustments. I tweak it every year to try and make it more accurate.
You're creating an algo.
Basically, trying to create an algo.
He's a stats man, this guy.
I love the stats.
So, if the Dragons beat the Stormers, where will the Stormers go and where will the Dragons go? Can you tell me?
I'd have to run the numbers.
Because the Dragons are down there.
Basically, the Dragons have 2 wins in a row now.
Because I'm not watching as much as I should. But this is just stupid, by the way. Fucking goddamn World Cup overload. I fucking love sport. I really do. But can you not have 3 World Cups on the same... Cricket World Cup. Love the cricket. I love the cricket. I haven't
watched 1 second of it.
We had a cracking win over Australia, and we
beat the Aussies.
Yeah, we did. We towed them up
at a World Cup.
Yeah, we beat them by freaking near 100 runs, and then we've just absolutely.
Is this the 50 over one or the 20 over one?
20 over, and then we absolutely pumped the Sri Lankans. We got a dud of a result due to the crappy weather in Australia against Afghanistan. Afghanistan took half. We got rained out. So a game where it's like it's a guaranteed win. We're gonna win. We're gonna beat Afghanistan. We drew it, so we got half the points.
Same like what we did with the Italians at the last World Cup.
Yeah, although Afghanistan say they gutted a bit, which I'm sure they are actually, because they had 2 games rained out, both of the games at the MCG, which is like
they're the mecca.
That's the mecca of cricket, especially in our part of the world. And now we got I think we got England. Oh, this isn't a cricket podcast, is it? But hey,
there's a League World Cup too.
Yes, which I'm very, very invested in. Very invested in.
I haven't seen a second of it.
In the weekend we played Ireland.
Somebody compared in the comments, I think it was Jezza, compared the Women's World Cup to the Rugby League World Cup, and that basically it's massacre until the top teams meet at the end.
Definitely in the past, because the only top teams were New Zealand, Australia, and England. They were the top teams by far. But the rules have changed substantially to the point where it's what a lot of Pacific Island team players have been advocating for, that gives them freedom to play for their home nations. So a lot of the Australian-based players are choosing, and New Zealand-based players are choosing to play for Tonga and Australia and Samoa.
So those teams are stronger than they would have been?
Samoa is chocked full of Penrith Panthers, who are the NRL champions at the moment. I'm really getting into this, aren't I? I'm sorry. And they unfortunately, they had just arrived in England and actually got towed up by England in a game that everyone thought could be relatively close. Okay. But they had a must-win game against France today and absolutely pumped them. Oh, wow. Which is setting up a giant quarterfinal between Tonga, who are stacked with massive NRL talent, and Samoa, which is... You would drive around here, man. Drive around here. Do you ever notice all the Samoan and Tongan flags on people's cars? The cars, yeah. You know why? It's because it's for the World Cup.
For the league.
Yeah, for the league. It's a big...
The league's a bigger deal than the rugby over here in Auckland, anyway. for Samoa and Tonga.
Yeah, this is their fucking jam, man. Yeah, they're massive.
Because their teams are more competitive.
Yeah, and they've got this huge talent. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, massive. Some of the biggest players in the game, and New Zealand's looking very good too. So it should be. But you're right. There are a lot of lopsided games in there as well. They got Jamaica playing.
Oh,
they're not particularly good.
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. I ranted about two sports that weren't rugby for quite a period of time.
Because there's too many World Cups on at the same time.
Too many World Cups, and then I'm trying
Just
to...
FYI, there's a lot of rugby union on in November. Like if you're talking about men's test matches,
and
there's a lot.
Cricket's a 3-hour commitment, you know? Like...
Yeah, fuck the cricket.
Oh, the cricket's great. Love the cricket.
I used to like the cricket.
Get back into it. No, you don't have time.
No, I don't have time.
I don't have time either. God. And then I've got to edit these videos.
We're looking forward to this Wales video.
Stop talking about my... I'm just going to read a piece of paper.
Put some dick jokes in there.
There is dick jokes in there.
That's all what it's about.
Distracted. One thing you can guarantee, dick jokes. That's it. Dick jokes and taxes. You're not going to get taxed by my videos though. Anyway, I think we've covered a whole array.
A whole lot of stuff.
A whole lot of stuff. Went on some very strange tangents, but I think that's the name of the game, really, isn't it?
Good luck with the editing of this one to chop out.
I'm just going to let it run. And
just run the whole thing. That's what I do. Yeah. Record a video, upload to YouTube.
There we go. All right, well done.
Yes.
Congratulations.
We will meet potentially for a stream this weekend.
Potentially.
I will talk to my old man to see...
Worst case scenario, well not worst case, maybe best case scenario, bring your old man here.
Oh.
Gazza and the T-Dog.
Calling yourself the T-Dog?
I am calling myself the T-Dog. Yeah, his name's Gazza, so...
The balls on this guy.
Yeah, Gazza and the T-Diz. Well, your dad calls himself Gazzamania, for God's sake.
He didn't give himself that name, though.
Gazzamania out!
The chat gave him that name.
Oh, your dad's chat on the other night. Bloody hell, there was a lot of bloody good players out there, but bloody by crikey, the All Blacks will be asking themselves a few bloody questions. I bloody well tell you that. Bloody hell. Fozzie, people say he's not a bloody good coach, but he's going to have to answer some bloody questions. Retallick, I thought that was a bloody pissball call, for bloody hell's sake. What kind of bloody sport are we paying us these days? Bloody hell.
And like I say, if we do it in Europe, bloody Wales, England and Scotland will be delighted because there's a good chance they could bloody beat us. I mean, this team's better than that. I sincerely believe it, but Jesus, they need a bloody shake from somewhere. I don't know from bloody where, but they need to get their bloody shit together.
That was... That's my...
Brilliant.
Was that a good Gazza?
That's quintessential Gazza.
Was that a good Gazza?
Yeah, it's a pretty good Gazza.
I'll play that, and I'll play that back to back with the recording of your... Will Gazza mind him featuring?
No, he'll love it.
He'll feature it.
He'll love it.
Okay.
If you stayed all the way through this podcast, Gazza, to get this far,
yes,
let us know what you thought of Tony's impression.
Cheers. And we will play Gazza's actual recording.
Okay.
Yeah, that will be the one piece of editing I will do.
Okay.
Although I really do want to put in a mega cut of all your dick jokes.
Too much time. Get the Wales video done.
All your dick jokes. And there was one point
where I made an attempt at a dick joke and just pulled out of it.
No, because I love you. Because I feel like you're drinking more on your podcast, your live streams at the moment.
Maybe.
And there was when the Japanese scored at the end of the game, you went, fuck.
Really? It's a try. Jimeno. Fuck. Holy shit. I don't remember that.
Yeah, you went fuck. In the longest fuck. It went for a long time.
The longest fuck of my life. Okay. Interesting.
The longest fuck of your life is about 10 seconds. Your lucky wife.
Yep.
Alright, well, fantastic. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe to
you did well.
2 cents.
And
this is on my channel.
Distracted, you're probably here, but there you go, he's there.
I am here.
Subscribe.
Press the button.
Yeah.
Ha-da-da.
Take care, folks.
Farewell.